Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Mercury conjunct Chiron in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in a natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may refer to them as snappy. So what I decided to do is make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is if you have Mercury conjunct Chiron in your natal chart, there may be very intense communication, which is Mercury, about one's emotional and physical wounds, which is Chiron. Now, let's say if Chiron is in Aquarius, there may be some suffering, due to feelings. It could be of ostracism or not being, accepted by society, difficulty ingratiating oneself in groups, clubs, organizations. There may be physical related wounds and suffering connected with the ankles, the shins, the calves, the nerves. If Chiron is in Leo, as another example, there may be, some, emotional suffering might be connected with, not being lauded and praised enough for efforts, not getting attention, notoriety, recognition, for one's achievements. It could be, on a physical level. It may be issues, with the heart, the spine, the upper back, as some other examples. Now, the thing too is the mind, which is Mercury, may often be on helping and healing others, which is Chiron. Now, the thing is, if you have your, say your Chiron is in Taurus, helping and healing others, it might be, matters of self-worth, self-esteem, how one feels about oneself, maybe matters of persistence and encouraging others to be more tenacious and persistent with their efforts. It could be matters with possessions, resources. Maybe it's through, some Taurian related field, whether it could be geology, architecture, working as a stockbroker or pawnbroker, encouraging them maybe to follow, where they want to go, in terms of a Taurus related field, as some examples. And also, too, another way this aspect may manifest is that there may be, physical related suffering, wounds, which is Chiron, that may be associated with the hands, the arms, the nerves, lungs, breathing, the brain, which is Mercury. If there's, say going back to Aquarius, let's say, the conjunction is in Aquarius, it might be more, sporadic, erratic, intermittent, kind of suffering. If the conjunction is in Aries, it may be something of a more spontaneous, abrupt nature. The pain may be more sharp. It may come very, abruptly, very quickly. More about sharp, kinds of pain. As some examples, Aries can also be accidents, as Aquarius as well. So, in some cases, it may be attributed, to, some kind of accident that led to, say, some kind of physical related injury to the hands, the arms, or the nerves. And also, too, Mercury conjunct Chiron in a natal chart may also manifest in short journeys, which is Mercury, may be taken, it could be to deal with matters connected with depleted self-esteem, which is Chiron. Now, let's say, if Chiron is in Virgo, there may be, issues, that are health related, that may be tied in with diminished self-worth. And it could be where a lot of short journeys are taken, like say to health and fitness places to, work out, no pun intended, of course, work out those issues with diminished self-worth, Um, it could be, let's say if Chiron is in Aries is another example, depleted self-esteem, maybe tied in, maybe it has to do with battles or, even fighting ability in some cases. It might be, where the person may take a lot of short journeys just to learn, fighting technique, defending oneself, as some examples. Chiron and Aries can also go through, suffering and, even depleted self-worth due to, lack of identity. So, in that example with Chiron and Aries, the short journeys and short trips may be taken, and a lot of in cases where just to deal, with those issues and getting in touch with the right people for that. Now, also too, you may often think, which is Mercury, about the deepest wound that you've been dealing with, which is Chiron. Now, if Chiron is in Gemini, as an example, the deepest wound may be tied in with some kind of intellectual or cerebral ability, mental aptitude, communication ability in general. Maybe there was some issues with the early education, which didn't, you didn't quite, it didn't pan out, or you didn't really feel you reached your, potential. And these may be things that are often thought about. Chiron and Libra, there may be the deepest wound may be tied in with some, your marriage situation, relationships, dealing with, maybe there's issues with having just balance in one's life, just having that equilibrium and just fairness. Maybe there was something, a legal related issue, which really hit home, as some examples. Now also to communication, writing, and manual dexterity, which is Mercury, may be very, prominent in terms of, just the suffering, and it could be, a lot of it could be on a physical level. Maybe there was some people may have had some issues, in terms of writing that are difficult. It could be due to, physical related issue, going back to the hands, as an example. It could also be emotional suffering as well. Maybe things that were said, as an example, may have led to very intense emotional suffering. Maybe even issues connected with manual dexterity. Whether it could be, working on a vehicle that may have caused a physical related injury, or not being able to fix something, with using that dexterity. Might maybe tied in, such as, automobile or refrigerator. Maybe this is tied in, to some kind of, suffering at some point. I mean, not being able to get, vehicle taken care of can obviously be something that can cause, certain, issues, such as with local transportation in general. And also too, there may often be, a tendency to analyze, which is Mercury, trying to find the key, which is Chiron, to alleviate suffering. Now, if Chiron is in Virgo, as an example, that, that key, can be tied in with just, understanding that being close to being perfect may be being closer to perfect may be acceptance of just the self, realizing that you can't be infallible, and that could actually bring, make a person actually closer to perfection, that he or she may actually realize. Chiron and Aquarius may be tied in with, the key, to alleviate suffering, may be associated with, friendships just simply not being about quantity, it's about the quality of them, and that's, and also too, siblings, cousins, and neighbors, which is Mercury, may play an integral role in terms of, the pain and the anguish, which is Chiron, you may be dealing with, for better or for worse. Keep in mind, this is a conjunction. So conjunctions are basically neutral aspects. And a lot of, whether siblings, cousins, or neighbors can be beneficial or more to one's detriment. in one's pain or anguish may be tied in with the aspects that it makes in a natal chart. And the thing is, Chiron, say, is in the zodiac sign Cancer. Pain and anguish may be tied in with issues with home, family, introversion, safety, security, as some examples. And also to the early education, which is Mercury, may have been a time when healers, which is Chiron, may have figured very prominently, in your life, one way or the other. If Chiron is in Virgo, it could be matters, with health, diet, fitness, organization, cleanliness in general. If Chiron is in Pisces, it may have been more, of a spiritual nature that, you may have had a lot of, spiritual healers and, just helping you maybe see, like, say, the overall picture and things, as opposed, to going, the other way, saying being overly judgmental or critical, as some examples. Anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, everyone, learn and sound, stay well.